Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram.
Hare Krishna, Divyangi Mataji, Hare Krishna, Bhaktalex. This is
Hare
Shraddha.
Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Good to have you on the call.
Thank you. Good
Hare
to be
Krishna,
here.
Mother Shura, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjul Kantha.
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
You have to mute yourself, unmute. Hare Krishna, Bhakti Yogesh.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
I'm not able to hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
These are Maharaj deities, right?
Say that again.
The small ones, they're Maharaj deities?
No, they're actually Srila Prabhupada's deities, and Sudhir Madhav sent them to me this morning.
Wow, they're so
They're in
I
Mayapur,
was
right?
thinking I've only seen bigger ones in Maharaj's house. I have not seen.
This is from his bhajan kutir. Yeah.
Today.
Hare Krishna, Radha Venkat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
I've been watching the deities every day to see if they have flowers, at least 1 or 2 flowers.
Yeah.
I think it was bringing some flowers.
Hare
So
Krishna
bouquet of-
Mataji. Dandat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Radha
Good to
Venkat
hear your voice.
I haven't figured out how to create the ambience of Mathura and Dwaraka behind me, but
You need to be at a particular version and a particular version of Zoom, as well as a particular version of the operating system, and I think mine required a particular hardware, so I failed on all the 3 counts. So I can't go to Vrindavan, as you know. Radha Venkat Prabhu is in Vrindavan now.
see, I'm so hopeless. Unpin, okay. Yeah, you're right. It's not working for me. I'll give up.
Yeah,
Better to be simple.
true. Yeah. Okay. Raj will be joining shortly. He's texting there, so hopefully. So what else is going on? You have to unmute yourself, Manjula.
No, I have someone helping me find a background.
Okay, I see. Okay, good.
I'm really not techno savvy.
So, Mataji, sorry. One
Go-
thing yesterday, I think harmonium is not syncing when Maharaj is singing. So, is there?
That'll happen. Yeah, I think it's the nature of the technology like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone suggested to call in, like Avantika calls into, I don't know, maybe Maharaj's phone.
Try it. Yeah, why not? We are in the experimental stage. We're all trying, exploring new things. And then Zoom also.
Sadhu Mataji, if Nirkula Mataji can call Avantika on a phone, the lag might not be that much.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
we'll try it before, I don't know.
Yeah. We can experiment offline, and
yeah,
Avantika can bring it up with Guruma, right? Like
Okay.
that. And,
Okay.
and she's also on the call. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Maharaj is here.
Avantika, were you saying something?
Maharaj is here.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, good. So, Maharaj, we are broadcasting, and we are waiting for you to unmute your phone, and that's about it.
Vanchakalpadurvascha kripasindhaveva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavini ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Radhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Nitai Go, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Go, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Gaura Premanande, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Shri Harinam Mahamantra Ki,
Jai.
Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki,
Jai.
Gaura Premanande, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Paramahamsa Prirajacharya Stotra Shishimara Pai Charanara Vinda Bhaktivedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prirajacharya Stotra Shishimara Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Lila Pravishta Paramahamsa Babaji Srila Gaur Kishore Das Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Lila Pravishta Srila Sakchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Charya Shishila Baladev Vidyabhusan Prabhu Ki Jai Jai Shishila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Shri Shri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Chaya Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Shishila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Shishila Vrindavan Das Thakur Mahashaya Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattas Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Shri Shri Swarup Damodar Shri Rai Ramanandari Gaura Shaktavarga Ki Jai
Jai.
Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai
Jai.
Prem Zagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Shri Antar Deep Mayapur Simanta Deep Godruma Deep Madhya Deep Kolda Deep Ritu Deep Yanu Deep Moda Duma Deep Ruti Deep Atmakashi Nava Deep Dam Ki Jai
Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Dwadash Avanatmaka Shri Vrajamandala Ki Jai Dwadash Upavana Ki Jai Shri Shamakunda Radhakunda Jamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Gaur Premanande Haribo. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena. One extended. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Dapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabha Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Pravave Namaha Madhuryo Jwala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gorakishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambode Padambu Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sakchirananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Viravava Bhomestam Nirdesha Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvaswa Padambo Jau Radha Marana Mohanao Divya Rinraranya Kalpadmadha Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanastau Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Devao Prishtali Bi Sevyamanu Smarami Srimad Rasarasaram Pivam Shiva Tatatastita Karshan Venu Swanir Gopir Gopinatha Shri Estunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindayai Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Keshava Sicha Vishnu Bhakti Pradi Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Nishinga Jai Nishinga Jai Jai Nishinga Prahalada Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutaram dharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharmasam stapanartaya sambhavam yuge yuge manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mami vaishyasi yukvaivam atmanam parayanaha Sarvadharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharadam Braja Hang Tung Sarva Papebhyo Mukshayishami Ma Shuchaha Shushrusho Sharadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtan Nishevanat Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantaksto Hibhadrani Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam Nashta Praishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatutama Shloke Bhuktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kama Lobhada Yaschaye Chaitaiter Anavidham Stitam Satve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Chijante Sarva Samshaya Shiante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evat Manishvare Malihai Kareshe Bijarupan Shravana Kirtana Jali Kareshe Chan Tahan Vishtarita Hoy Pali Prema Pal Ihan Mali Sheche Nitya Shravanadi Jal Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshartameka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Bhutira Yasamaham Prapadye Kala Nashtam Bhakti Yogam Nijam Ja Pradush Kartam Krishna Chaitanya Nama Avirbhutas Tasya Padaravinde Gadham Gadham Liyatam Chitta Bringa Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nama Shreshtam Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Swarupam Shri Rupam Tasya Grajam Uruparim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramoho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi He Guru Gyanada Dinabando Swananda Data Kuranaika Sindo Vrindavana Sina Hita Avatar Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padurinam Abhikshna Shayasam Harikato Gitam Punati Bhuvanatrayam Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanakavadato Samkirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishvambaro Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagapriyakaro Kanunavataro Hantaya Madra Balaharida Savaryo Yadrama Krishna Chananashvarasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayostayo Yat Paniya Suyavasa Kandana Kandamulai Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. From the Bhagavad Gita, the 14th chapter, Krishna describes how there are three modes of material nature. And in text number 6 of 14, Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat Prakashakam Anamayam Sukha Sangena Bhatnati Jnana Sangena Chanaga. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness. So tatra means there, sattvam, the mode of goodness. So sat means existence, that which actually exists. And this is distinguished by Krishna in the Gita, that nasato vidite bhavo na bhavo vidite sata ubayorapi drishtam tas tvanayos tat fadarshi. Can you just slide down a little bit so we can see the verse also, just to the top? Perfect. Thank you. And he said that which exists is a real, or the sages have seen that which exists actually has substance, and that which is a reflection of the substance, it's considered to be illusory because it's temporal, it's moving past, and it's not compatible with our nature, that which is temporary. Three energies in the Vishnu Purana, the description of these categories are Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetra Gyakya Tatapara Avidya Karma Sangyanya Tritir Shaktir Ishate. There's the internal energy, the external energy, and the marginal potency. And when the marginal living entity, who's the same quality as Krishna, interacts with the material nature, one can see that interaction in the form of fruit of activities that are binding for the living entity. The material nature ultimately is one substance, but it gets divided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and ultimately is manifest in myriad forms because of the combinations and permutations of the three modes of material nature. And within the apparatus of the human body, there are senses, and above the senses is the mind, above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the Purusha, or the Atma, which is categorically different from all the other elements in the body. And then, of course, there's the Paramatma, or the Supreme Soul, who's the source of everything, and who's the guiding witness of the living entity who travels to many different bodies. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridaya tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudrani mayaya. Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, I'm the one traveling with the living entity who's on the yantra of the material body. The process of yoga entails understanding the difference. Foundationally, one must understand the difference between oneself and the body, which includes the gross physical manifestation of the body and the subtle manifestation, the psychological body of the living entity, which is divided into the categories of the mind, the intelligence, the ego. And altogether, in some places, these are described as the chitta, or sometimes the chitta is described as the foundational part of these other manifestations. So when a person becomes aware of the three modes of material nature, he or she also becomes aware of the effect that it has on him or her. And also, through the process of yoga, one becomes aware of the fact that one is not the body or the mind or the intelligence. The mind and intelligence are often mistaken to be the self because there's an illumination within them due to the proximity of the Purusha, the living entity within the body. Just as much as if you take a stained glass window in a church, it looks dark. You can't, if you have no light exposed to it, it just looks like a dense, opaque substance. But as soon as you shine light onto it, then it lights up, and it's full of form and patterns. Hence, in a similar way, the buddhi, the manas of the living entity, which is part of the body, becomes illuminated by the soul proper, the Purusha, the conscious living entity within the body. And then when the living entity within the body witnesses the mind, that living entity may think, I am the mind, and become fully absorbed in the mind. So Krishna here is giving us a clearer understanding of how to view the world. In Kapila Dev's teachings, you'll find in the third canto that the buddhi, the intelligence, and the mind, especially the buddhi, it has a high degree of sattva naturally. And so does the mind. And therefore, it's easy when one sees the mind, when it's illuminated by ourselves, to mistake it to be ourselves, because we're able to relate more clearly with the luminosity of the manas and the buddhi. And of course, the mind becomes conditioned and delimited by a particular body, and that body becomes what's called an upadi, or a designation. So a turtle has this designation that I'm a turtle. And although the Purusha inside is spiritual, and in the sense that it's an eternal being, has an eternal nature, it's Sat also. It's also Chit, and it has Ananda, because these are all qualities of the original cause, Krishna. However, when delimited by the body and the mind of a turtle, conditioned by the three modes of material nature, and contracted into small circumference, a smaller circumference, then that living entity identifies with that particular reality. So from the human point of view, there's a way in which, through the process of yoga, one purifies the consciousness. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The chitta has to be purified of the lower modes of material nature. And the living being then also becomes aware of the fact that I am not even the mind or the body. So in the process of dealing with the three modes of material nature, in this verse, Krishna is saying that Tatra, there, Sattvam, the mode of goodness, Nirmala Dvad, being purest in the material world. So purest means that it's purer than Sattvas, the Rajas and Tamas. And Prakashakam means it's illuminating, Anamayam, without any sinful reactions. And it's characterized by Sukha, or happiness. So Ka, in the Sukha, this word means space, actually, and Su means good. So when one is in the mode of goodness, one's happy. The happiness comes from an expanded consciousness, which is able to witness, first of all, one's able, Sattvam Yad Brahma Darshanam. From Sattva, one's able to have darshan, or be able to see one's nature, which is blissful. So in Rajas, there's activity, and the activity is to self-gratify or to develop something so that one can be happy in the future. And that never happens. And then Tamas is characterized by helplessness. One's simply helpless, which isn't a good feeling, is it? So this development of sattva is very powerful. And anamayam, it's described here without any sinful reaction. and sukha, happiness. Sangena bhatnati. So it's illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode, sukha sangena bhatnati, become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So Prabhupada explains here in his purport, which we'll read in a second, that although sattva is illuminating, there's a way in which one can become conditioned by that. And there's a sense of happiness that comes from the mode of goodness. One's freed from the sense of angst from the mode of passion, through which one always feels like you're trying to catch up. You're always in debt, trying to pay off the debt, but you never can. In the mode of sattva, there's a sense that ultimately I exist, and that's good enough. A sense of happiness from existence. So jnana sangena chanaga, jnana with knowledge, sangena by association cha anaga. So the translation again, O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Prabhupada's purport. The living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. So these are three important words to describe the three modalities. Happy means sattva, active means rajas, and helpless means the mode of ignorance. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that, in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientist and the philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted toward working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that this sort of life is pleasant. So this is interesting description of sattva gun, that it's purifying, it gives one wisdom, a sense of happiness, but it's also a guna. It also binds one to this material world. Rishabhadeva in the 5th canto says, Parabhavas tavada bodha jato yamadna jignasata atma tattvam. He describes that there's a way in which the material nature has a coloring to it. Just like if you have a load of white laundry and you throw in one pink article, like let's say you have a gumsha. I mean, don't try this at home. I don't recommend it at all. It's like a disaster. The this happens a lot in brahmachari ashrams from young men who never learn how to wash stuff, and they'll wash your stuff for you. So you throw in one tiny gumsha and a huge wash of white clothes, and then everything turns pink. It's slightly pink if it's an old gumsha, but enough so that it's no longer really representative of the ashram. So in a similar way, there's a taint that comes from the modes of material nature. Even when one's in goodness, there's a competition by the various modes. They're competing with one another. And they or the people who have developed sattva are not completely pure, but they're affected. So then Rishabhadev says that because of that, there's a way in which one, by being colored by the modes of material nature, has to take birth again in the material world in order to, because it's a natural phenomenon that takes place by Daiva-nitrena. There's an accommodation given to those who have a desire to enjoy the material world through the senses, and that is accommodated naturally by the modes of material nature, practically automatically, mechanically, it's awarded. So then one, as Prabhupada points out here, ends up again repeatedly in the various bodies of the material world. So to come to the perfect stage, one has to become perfectly pure. And this is achieved through the process of bhakti yoga, purifying the senses. Sarvapadi vanir muktam tat prapena nirmalam hrishikena hrishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchate. The devotional service means engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord of the senses. And they are material or contaminated by the modes of material nature. However, when they're engaged fully in the service of the Supreme Pure, who's above the modes of material nature, then just as when you take an iron rod and you put it in fire and you leave it in fire, the iron rod becomes transformed and it becomes red hot. So it becomes fire-like. So similarly, when the senses are engaged in the service of Ishvara or Hrishikesh, Shrishik Isha, the Lord of the senses, for whom the senses are made, they're made by him and they're made to serve him. And when they're properly serving Krishna, they become transformed also, and they become completely pure. And then the other method, which is also using the senses, but it's through the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam. When we hear transcendental sound vibration, then there's this wonderful phenomena of vidhunoti, a sorting out of the lower modes of material nature and any impurities that are within by Krishna's help through the power of the transcendental sound vibration. That includes the kirtan, like hearing the kirtan of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and listening to these vibrations, Pravishtakarna Randrena, Swanam Bhavam Suro Ruham. There's a way in which one becomes purified, and simultaneously one's relationship with Krishna within the heart becomes manifested. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam is a natural result of hearing and chanting, is that one begins to remember Krishna and think in terms of serving Krishna, remembering Krishna's pastimes, his qualities, his instructions, and so forth. And then serving the lotus feet of the Lord, doing deity worship, and praying, and becoming a friend of Krishna, offering everything to Krishna. Through absorption in these 9 methods, or any one of them, or any combination of them, one by association with the Supreme Pure, one's senses have become purified. And all schools of yoga agree that even while in this material body, if one is able to rise above the modes of material nature, then one becomes a liberated soul, even while in this body. Iha yasya harir dasye karmana manasa gira Nikila apyavastasu jivan muktasa uchate means iha, even in this body, even in this world. Yasya hareda se karmana manasa gira. Karmana means your activities, if they're dedicated for the Lord. Karmana, manasa, and the mind is engaged in Krishna. Giri means the words. If your words are engaged in Krishna service. Nikila apyavastastu jivan mukta uchate. So you're known as jivan mukta. You're liberated even while in this body. So Krishna says in Gita also that mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That if you go on rendering devotional service, then naturally you'll rise above the three modes of material nature and you'll come to the spiritual platform. And from the spiritual platform, then you're able to see Krishna. Lord Shiva confirmed this. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, that he said from the Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, that I'm able to directly see the Supreme Personality of Godhead from that platform, which is above even material goodness, no more contamination by the modes of nature. And we also hear in the progression of verses in the Bhagavatam, starting with the ones we chanted, or that include the ones we chanted tonight in the Mangalacharana, and that is beginning Shushrushoshvadanasya, the developing a taste for hearing by serving, and then by hearing Bhagavatam, Krishna helps for the heart to purify the devotee, and then by hearing Bhagavatam continuously, then one becomes noticeably liberated from the lower qualities of nature, and then the lower qualities are completely vanquished, and one becomes established in the self, means one's aware of the fact that my only purpose really is to serve Krishna, and that I'm a spiritual soul beyond the material world altogether. That's the liberated situation. And then finally, he's describing that one has complete scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead and becomes fixed up in that platform of devotional service. So there are other systems of yoga, like the Ashtanga process. Patanjali describes these levels of purification that start with yam and niyam, means that you have to start to interact with the world in a different way. You have to be truthful, you can't steal, you have to be nonviolent, you have to control your senses and so forth. And then you can start the process of meditation after you've cleaned up your act. And then there's different levels of meditation where one becomes aware of the fact that one's not the body, and then one becomes fully aware, simply situated in one's own pure consciousness, not even aware that one's noticing that there's a difference between one and the other. And then he describes the shortcut to all of those in the Yoga Sutras. He calls Ishvara Pranidan. If you offer your sincere obeisances to Ishvara, who's there with you, then very quickly you can shortcut all these other processes. Nonetheless, even in bhakti, Rupa Goswami starts with Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jihva Vegam, Udaropasta Vegam. Itan Vegam Yo Vishaheta Dhira, Sarvam Apimam Pritivim Nashisha. You have to control the senses. And then he gives 6 items that are unfavorable, 6 items that are favorable, and so forth. And then there's the delightful engagement in an association of devotees that becomes a source of developing one's love for Krishna through loving the devotees. And then understanding the Vaishnavas, that no matter what their external situation may be, because they become servants of Krishna, they're known to be great souls, and their association is purifying. And then he describes the different levels of Vaishnavas. and how one should distinguish them and associate with each kind of Vaishnav. The beginning Vaishnav is the one who can say Hare Krishna. You should offer obeisances in your mind. Then there's the next level of Vaishnav, the Vaishnav who's taken Diksha and is chanting and practicing. And for that person, you should go out of your way to offer demonstrative, respectful obeisances. And then for the third class, the one who's progressed to the level of actually being free from ego. No more hankar in such a person. And it's exhibited because nindadi shunya, no more friends and enemies. They're not fighting for their prestige in the material world anymore. So they're not concerned with criticizing others. Nindadi shunya, and such persons are should be served and listened to by the association of devotees. Throughout the Bhagavatam, it's described that the association of devotees is purifying. Tulayama lavina pina swargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kimutashisha. Says there's nothing equal to the association of Vaishnavas, those who have dedicated their life to serving Krishna. And tulayama, nothing can outweigh that. Tulayama lavina pi naswargam na punarbhavam. It can't compare to liberation. Or can't compare to go to the heavenly planets, which is just like moving into a better neighborhood, but you're still under quarantine from the coronavirus. And naswargam na punarbhavam. It's obviously better than material sense gratification in this world. And others say the same thing. Lord Chaitanya quotes all these verses describing how devotional service is fostered by association with Vaishnavas. Naisham matistava rukramangrim sprishat yanarta pagamo yadartaha mahiya sampararajo bhishekam diskinchananam navranita yavat. That you have to get the association of a Vaishnav, somebody who's 100% dedicated to the process of devotional service. And by that, you'll become purified. Rahuganai tapasana yati chandaya chejaya. No. Rahuganai tapasana yati nachandasa. Okay, sorry, that one's not coming out today. But that one's describing how there's a way in which people try to purify themselves by sitting in cold water in the winter, sitting around hot fires, performing their ashram duties perfectly, like being perfect sannyasi, perfect grihasta. Said all these things you can do, but it won't get you to the perfectional stage until you, without vina, without taking the dust from the feet of a pure Vaishnav, you can't come to the position of pure devotional service yourself. So there's some, elementary or introductory knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita about how the modes of material nature work, how we're not our bodies, and how we're interacting with the modes and getting entangled by them. And then throughout the Vaishnava literatures, there's description of how one becomes purified from that situation. And the acharyas have, coming down, especially through Srila Prabhupada, given us a clear process that anyone can practice to become elevated beyond the modes of material nature and situated in pure devotional service through different stages of practice and elevation. And now I'll just take a few reflections before I give some practical hints, the Yagadas for success. So reflections or questions?
Dear devotees, you can unmute yourself to ask your questions. And Maharaj, we have a question on Facebook.
Okay.
So this is from Achyuta Bhav Das Prabhu. And he's thanking you for this wonderful class. And he said that you had used the term yatra of the material body.
Yantra.
Yeah. Yantra. Okay. Yeah, so sorry about that. And so he says that that struck a chord with him, and he kind of wants you to, if you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Sure. So, yeah, yantra means a machine. And this body is mechanical. And it's albeit a very advanced machine. If I say, dear hand, please come here, it just comes. It's automatic, hooked up to the brain. Of course, there could be some malfunction, and then I'll say, hand, come here, and it won't come. And then I'm in a, my machine's broken. But there's hardware, which is the material body and all of its various senses. Actually, the senses are not the perceivers themselves. Ultimately, the Purusha, the person in the body, is the perceiver, but it comes through the agency of the senses, and the senses have a gross aspect and they have a subtle aspect. So behind every sense, there's the subtle sense that is like the software behind each one of the senses. Everyone can understand that now, especially all you software engineers. There's got to be some subtle code back there that makes it run and makes it intelligible, that translates it out into some activity that actually takes place. So the 5 gross elements come out of the tanmatras, that come out of ahankar, which comes out of the buddhi. So there's this telescoping out into the material world that forms the senses. That's getting a little too technical, but the fact is that behind each sense, there's this subtle software that runs it, and it hooks up very nicely to the mind, the intelligence, and the false ego, and then offers it up to the Purusha, or the Atma, the living entity that's within the body. So if we analyze the body, we'll find that it's very much mechanical. It's categorically different than the conscious being that's within the body. And this is a knowledge, Krishna says. Kshetra jnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnayo jnanam yatash jnanam matam mama. Krishna gives his opinion, matam mama. This is my opinion. This is what knowledge is. Knowledge means being able to see the difference between myself and, he says, the field that I'm resting in, the field where I'm enacting my desires. And it's being fulfilled through the body, and the body is a part of the material nature. And it's happening by higher arrangement. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The body, although it works really fast, so I think I'm doing this, is actually being conducted by the material nature. There are devas, or higher powers, who are intelligent, who assist me in doing this and that and this, and blinking my eyes. I'm not aware of it, it's going on. And even if I am aware of it, even if I'm deliberately lifting my hand, that's being facilitated by material nature. But Krishna says, if somebody thinks that, yeah, that's me, I'm doing this, I am my body, I'm doing all these things, that person is vimudha, which means really stupid. It really doesn't know what's going on. And so one has to become aware of one's situation. Krishna then says, Tattvavitu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagoyo guna guneshu vartanta iti matva nasajite. One who comes aware of the fact that he or she is interacting with the 3 modes of material nature and sees how this labyrinth is going on. It's a matrix that's made up of these 3 modes of material nature, how it's functioning, how I'm separate from it, is intelligent. That's a learned person. So yes, this is a machine, and we're riding on the machine. An example Burjan Prabhu gives is like a little child. He wants to pick up a heavy barbell, and then he grabs onto it, but his father is standing behind him, and he actually grabs the barbell and lifts it for the child, and the child thinks, I just lifted 100 pounds. But Krishna's there facilitating the ways in which we interact with the 3 modes of material nature. And his agencies are all there too, but he's the ultimate cause and facilitator. I hope that's what you were looking for. What else, Shraddha?
So there are a couple of questions also on the chat. Would you like to read, or
Okay,
Divyangi,
let's
you
see.
want to unmute yourself?
Where are you? Let's see. We have from Bali
Kautuka,
Mardan.
yeah.
Hare
Says,
Krishna,
glad to
Prabhuji,
listen.
Dandavad Pranam.
There he is in person. We have him live.
Prostate obeisance to you.
My
And I'm
Vaisesika
very
to you,
fortunate.
Bali Prabhu.
Thank you. I just like to give one more reflection about, I think you have quoted many times about the Ninda, criticism, and how the three different layers of Vaishnava we should be appreciating and respecting. And also in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhalila also, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu giving instructions, he say like Purascharana Vidhi, Krishna Prasad Bhojan, Anivedita Tyaga, and Vaishnava Nindadi Varjana. That means giving up the blaspheming of the Lord's devotee, which is pretty powerful, and you have really quoted several times in many of the occasions I've heard, and I wanted to imbibe some of the instructions. That's why one of the things I really felt, because Lord Ramachandra also, when he wanted to pierce the arrows to the Samudra, at the time he appeared, then after that he said, oh, my arrow is already come out, so I need to pierce somewhere else. Then he throw into the nearby mountain where the pieces of rocks were. So similarly for us, whenever we have our angers and all, even if we do not reply on somebody else, it diverts into someone else. So we need to at least check those bad things should not come at last. The desires should not come from our mind and our front down.
Thank you, Bali Mardan Prabhu, for the context. And are you in outer space?
Because virus is everywhere, so only space is up.
Don't leave us yet. It looks like you're going through the Shishumar on the way back to Godhead. So if you would give us your association for a few more years, we would definitely appreciate it.
I'm still around.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Tadiya Seva gave us the verse 118:13. It's actually Srivas Pandit Prabhu was pointing out to me today. This verse is given 3 times in the Bhagavatam. The third time, it's slightly different in the first line, but Tulayama Levinapi na Swargam na Punarbhavam. I already talked about. Divyangi said, I can't unmute. And now she can.
Yes.
Kautakarnika said, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Lord Kapila speaks about devotional service in 3 modes. So how can devotional service free one from the modes? It looks like one can be under the modes and still performing devotional service. Asked by Akshay. So there are levels of purification. And as one's performing devotional service, the purification takes place. But those who are in the beginning stages of devotional service have not developed the highest conceptions of life and through their purified awareness of Krishna. For instance, 3 levels. There are various ways in which the levels of devotees are described throughout the Shastra. So one of them is in the 11th canto. The lowest, the beginning stage is described Acharyam Eva Harya. Archaryam Eva Harye Pujam Ya Sharaye Hate Natad Bhakteshu Chanyeshu Sabhakta Prakrita Smitaha. So this is a contradiction in terms, as you're pointing out. How can devotional service, it's all pure, but now we hear the first level of devotee is called Prakrita Bhakta. So that means a materialistic devotee. So how can that be? It means that the tendencies of attachment to the material world are still there, even though he or she is performing devotional service. And they're described here as Acharya Meva Hariye. The devotee, this person has a limited conception that's only, Krishna is only in the temple. And I see Krishna there, but nowhere else. Especially Natad Bhakteshu Cha Anyeshu. The beginner can't see the devotees, can't understand the importance of devotees, and also doesn't know how to do good for others. But then when one becomes more elevated, then Ishvare Tadadineshu Bali Sheshu Dusatsucha Prema Maitri Kripopeksha Yakaroti Samadhyavaha. That person is defined as the middle class devotee who is able to see the Supreme Lord, understand and appreciate the devotees, sees who is innocent, and also sees who's envious of the Lord. So this is expanded vision as one's performing devotional service. And then that person knows how to do good for the innocent, knows how to worship Krishna properly, especially important, knows how to worship devotees, because even Krishna says worshiping the devotees is more important than worshiping me, and knows also how to avoid the envious. And then Sarva Bhuteshu na Pashyad Bhagavat Bhavamatmanaha Bhuteshu Bhagavadyatmani Esha Bhagavatotama. The highest class devotee is situated in pure vision. So it's by gradations that one becomes purified, and even though one is starting devotional service, the tendency for particular sinful activities may still be there within the heart, or that vision that some people are my friends, some people are my enemies, my devotional service is better than other people's devotional service, and things like that are still there until the purification takes place. And then we have from Vijay Prabhu to everyone. Thank you for the lecture. I was wondering how it is that the modes of nature are competing with each other. Sometimes the mode of goodness is prominent, sometimes the mode of passion is prominent, sometimes the mode of ignorance is prominent. This makes it sound like the modes are persons. Persons compete with each other, but the modes are just nature. They are not persons. Yeah, so that the verb to compete is given as a it's just descriptive, that's all. These forces of nature are constantly, just like in a scientific experiment, you'll see certain elements are moving, and sometimes some become more prominent than others. Okay, are there any other comments you want to make?
Yes, Mara, there are quite a few reflections and,
Okay.
and a couple of questions.
Let's have 3, and then I got a few more points to make.
Okay, so then I'll take the questions first. This is Mayapur Bihari Prabhu, and he's talking about the Bina Mahat Pad Rajobhishekam verse that you had quoted. So he wants to know, what exactly does it mean to say that you take the dust off somebody's feet? Is it that you are following them? Is it that you're serving them, like that?
It especially means that you render submissive service, because this is something, as you know well, that Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita. When you approach an exalted person, somebody who's tattva darshina, someone who's seen the truth, then you should do 3 things. One is you should be submissively disposed to that person, pranipat. Then pratiprashnena, you should ask really good questions, pertinent questions. And sevaya, you should render service. And you might notice that when somebody renders service to you, you'll notice that you become inclined to want to do something for them. It's just natural. There's a sense of reciprocity. And so when somebody serves a great soul, then that great soul tends to open his or her heart to the person who's serving and offer all kinds of gifts. So this is really what it means to bathe in the foot dust of the pure devotee. Of course, it's also a very powerful substance mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There are 3 very powerful substances. One is the foot dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees. Second is the water that washed their lotus feet. And the third is the remnants of their food. There's prasadam, there's mahaprasadam, and there's mahaprasadam. So prasadam is prasadam, it's offered to the Lord, but then when it's offered directly to the deities, it's become mahaprasadam. And when that mahaprasadam has been honored by a pure devotee, and then you can get the remnants thereafter, you've got yourself some mahaprasadam. So these 3 substances, Kaviraj Goswami says, should not be neglected. So both things are there, but one shouldn't think, let me just run and grab the feet of devotees and then my life will be perfect and then I can do whatever I want. No, better you serve You serve them submissively, try to take up their instructions. What's the other question, Shraddha?
No, rest of them are all comments, Maharaj, so we can take them.
Okay, I'll take those in a minute.
Yeah.
Here's a few gathas for success. First is take time for relationships. This is confirmed by Rupa Goswami in the Upadeshamrita, Dadati Pratagunati Guhyam Akyati Prichiti Bhunkte Bhojayate Chaiva Shadviram Pratilakshanam. If you want to have success in devotional service, then you need to have loving devotions, loving relationships with the devotees. So give gifts, exchange gifts, take time for relationships, because that's what fulfills our desires, and it pleases Krishna very much also, as we saw in the case of the Prachetas, when they had very good relationships with each other in their practice of devotional service, and the Lord became very pleased. The second yagata is you gotta encourage the heck out of everybody. That's Krishna. Krishna's doing that. He's always trying to encourage us in various ways. He sends the Ganga, the Jamuna, Tulsi, the Bhaktas, the Bhagavad Gita. He sends Giriraj. He's got the holy name coming to us. He's there in our heart. He's there, Prasadam. Thank you for saying that. It was an unembodied voice from the sky telling my favorite devotional activity, taking Prasadam. All of these are encouragements coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you want to be in lockstep with the Lord, then encourage everybody else in devotional service. And how much should you encourage them? Encourage the heck out of them. So if you make that your main occupation in life, is encouraging others in devotional service, you'll always be happy, guaranteed. Coronavirus or no coronavirus. Okay, and the next one is be personal. And I learned this when I was doing business many years ago. There was an admonition given by one of my mentors who said, if you don't have time to make it personal, you don't have time to do business. And so in devotional service, people, devotees, they thrive on our personal interactions with them. That's what lifts them up. In fact, everyone can trace out their beginnings in devotional service to some personal touch they found. They might have read a book first or whatever, but then they came to the temple and someone was nice to them. They showed them appreciation, respect. And that's what really touches the soul and moves people, is making it personal. So the first yagata was you got to care. The second yagata is you got to empower people. So the best leaders are those who make other leaders. Leaders that empower leaders, those are the best leaders. And one of the ways to do that is always be looking for leaders. Look for people who have ability and attitude, and then empower them as much as possible. Also, there's down to up in empowerment. Like a disciple can empower a guru by paying attention. Like if you sit in a class and you start nodding out when your teacher is speaking, you're not empowering that person to speak. But if you're enthusiastic, you follow the instruction and you come back. It's like if you do your homework and come back, the teacher feels empowered to teach more. If you don't do it, then it's like, why should I even tell you anything else if you're not doing it? So there's empowerment that goes both ways. And Lord Chaitanya, he said, I'm the only gardener, but I want more gardeners. So he wanted us to go out and, first of all, he wanted us to become good gardeners. And I just getting in place to plant all my seeds that I got from Janamuni and putting together all the plowlets today and all you have to have seed starter. It's a real science getting I usually start not from seeds, but from small plants. And this time I'm starting from seeds because the nurseries are all closed. And anyway, it's a long story, but getting into gardening mode, you got to take a little instruction, learn how to garden and so forth, and make other gardeners. Don't be a ball hog on the basketball court. The guy who always takes the ball, goes down court, doesn't pass it off, shoots it himself, misses over and over again. Pass it around. Don't be a ball hog, but share with others. And don't care who gets the credit. Let other people take the credit, and have faith that Krishna will apportion the credit when the time is due. And as I said the other day, Radhanath Swami once told me, if you take credit where you didn't deserve it, then later on you're going to get criticized for something you actually didn't do. The next yugata, what are the first two yugatas?
Take time for relationships.
First yugata is you gotta care.
You gotta care.
Make time for relationships is within that one. And the second one is you gotta empower people.
Empower people.
The third you gotta is you gotta purify the vibration. So this is here's an algebraic formula. The quality of your life is equal to the quality of sound that you have in your environment. The quality of your life will be dependent on the quality of the sound that you let into your environment. So whether you've got a community, a movement, a family, a car full of people, a room that you're living in, whatever it is, it's dependent on the vibration within the room. So KTVG, keep the transcendental vibration going. KTVG. Incorporated. Maybe I shouldn't give all these yugatas. I'll save some for later. There's a few more yugatas.
Please
But,
give.
huh?
Please give.
It's greedy for
Only
that.
because Manjula Kanta. Okay, next one is you got to build the pipeline. This is very practical for spreading a Krishna conscious movement. The pipeline is a network of people favorable to your cause. And the more you build the pipeline, the more you can spread Krishna consciousness around the world. Remember that you can always use a friend, never an enemy. One enemy can wipe out the effects of a lot of work. Of course, it's naturally when you preach Krishna consciousness, enemies will pop up, but we should do our best to make friends with people, not enemies. Our message and products flow through the pipeline. So always, ALWAYS, always be networking. And remember that everyone counts. Every person that you meet, this is one of the rules of networking. Everybody knows that every person you meet, you should see as the next important link to realizing your expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement. You don't know who it is. I was in Vrindavan, I forgot, 2001. And I guess I was, or maybe it was 2000, I can't remember. Then there was a devotee. He was just out of college and he was sleeping on my friend's floor at the MBT, wasn't sure what to do with his life. And my friend, Kashi Ram, took the time to nurture him, feed him, talk to him about the importance of book distribution. It just turned out that he came from an aristocratic family and he had a lot of capability, although at the time he looked kind of like a potential loser, like no direction in life or anything like that. And he went back into Delhi and became one of the biggest book distributors in the history of our movement, because this one devotee, Kashi Ram, took the time to empower him and talk to him. So remember, any person, even if they look insignificant, even if they're homeless, it doesn't matter. Their uncle could be the next big thing. So we should see everybody as the next important link. What to speak of the fact that they're all parts and parcels of Krishna. I'm speaking from a practical point of view first, but then ultimately, yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashyati. We should scientifically see how everybody's important because they're part of Krishna. And the process of building the pipeline. Remember, a lot doing a little. It's very stable and a powerful model that you can build. Okay. Did I run out of time without knowing it? I'm going till 6:30, aren't I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's more Yugatas, but let's have a couple of reflections on the Yugatas now, or any of the earlier reflections.
So we had some reflections from earlier on, and actually the reflections were shared.
Okay.
So we had Keval Bhakti Prabhu and Namrata Khatwade, both of them liked your comment where you said that going to the heavenly planets is like moving to a better neighborhood, but you are still under quarantine.
That's right.
That one. And then Bhakta Govind Iyer from New York, he said he liked your definition of Sukha, where Su is, good, and Kha is space, so good space, like that.
Yeah.
And then Divyanga Prabhu is there, and he sent this. Sarva Vaishnavera Paye Kori, Sarva Vaishnavera Paye Kori Namaskar, Ithe Aparada Kichu Nahu Ko Amar. That's it.
Om Tat Sat.
Right, and then there's a question here from Manisha Amra, and she says that in Ramayana we see that Manthara was envious of Lord Ram, and her envious nature was used by the Lord as a medium to go to forest. But the philosophy is that everything can be Krishna'd in the service of the Lord, anger, jealousy, etc., but not envy. So how do we understand this thing?
Well, the Lord's Leela requires these various elements for flavor. So if you're taking it from the perspective of Leela, then anything can happen. And that's a higher perspective. And that's one of the easy answers when anybody asks a question. You say, why did this happen or that happen? You say, well, it's part of the Leela. It needed to be orchestrated. Because if you're going to do a play, you got to have villains and you got to have everything else in order for it to have some tension and interest in it and so forth. But it's not necessarily mantra that's, let's just say from a worldly point of view, the envy that mantra has, it's actually a detriment to devotional practice, and it's indicative of somebody who has material vision. Icha dvesha samutena dvandva mohina bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sargayanti parantapa. Krishna says this is the nature of the materialistic mind born into the material world, is envious of other people. So it's not an admirable quality or something like that, nor was it admirable that Kaikeyi was affected by it. It's a lesson for us to be careful of mantra. As we'd said before in previous Ramnomis, we said, watch out for the mantra effect. Because you could be perfectly happy and then somebody will come up and whisper in your ear, don't you know, blah, blah, blah. Don't you know, haven't you heard, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you're not feeling satisfied because you're thinking like, yeah, it actually is no good. So be careful who you listen to. From the Leela point of view, we can justify anything because it's, from a higher perspective, and it's going on to facilitate the Lord's activities. Anything else, Chandra?
I have a reflection for you.
Yes. Oh, Vijay, Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Yeah, there was one devotee. This is back in 1971 or so, and he was distributing books, but he wasn't having much success, and he was seeing all the other devotees doing so good. So he wrote a letter to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I think I'm feeling envious towards my godbrothers because they're doing so good. I'm not doing so much, and I'm feeling some envy. And Prabhupada wrote back, very interesting. He said, actually, this is just another way of your showing appreciation for your godbrothers. You're not envious. You're just showing there's some appreciation there.
Yeah. Prabhupada said, you know, a lot of these qualities, if you take out the inebriation or the contamination of it, they're there in the spiritual world also, that there's some competition. But then once you see somebody succeed, you're happy for them that they pleased Krishna. But in the material world, the sense is, let me drag them down so that so that I look better.
That's envy.
That's envy, and that's not there in the spiritual world. Thank you very much, Vijay Prabhu. That was helpful.
There are a couple of questions on and reflections on the chat.
Okay.
There's one from Gopal Champu Prabhu, and he's asking that what's the example of being too attached to the mode of goodness? And he's giving the example that, you know, if you're doing deity worship, then you're supposed to maintain yourself very clean. So what are some of the other aspects of mode of goodness that one can get too much attached to?
Oh, they can become too much attached to. Well, what Krishna's talking about here is becoming attached to one's own ability to see God. Because I mean, and there's different contexts for this. It's described in the Yoga Sutras that anyway, I won't go into that now. I'll just say that from the context of Narada Muni, when he was a little child and he left home when he was 5 years old because his mother died. Can you hear me, Gopal?
Yes,
Gopal,
Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
as you know, when Narada Muni was a little child, his mother died. He was already a single family home, a single parent home. So he just took off. And he already had some impetus for spiritual life because he had learned from these sages that stayed at his house during the Chaturmas, just like we're in now, the Chaturmasya period. And so he was enlivened, he had some sadhana going on, and you know, he's a blessed soul because he had met these pure devotees. And so he went to a forest and he was practicing his kind of meditation that he had learned from them. And then Krishna revealed himself, and he became, he had this experience of Ananda. This is described in the Gita in the 6th chapter in the context of meditation. One experiences there's no greater gain. One's completely liberated from the bodily situation. And in his case, each one of his limbs, the subtle senses, were running after Krishna to taste his sweetness in all the different ways. And they were he was tasting it. Something just beyond description, material description, full absorption. And then he suddenly came back into his corporeal existence and realized, I just got pulled back in. So he mechanically tried to get it back again. And that's when Krishna spoke to him. And what did he say? He said, you're a ku yogi. Means you're bad yogi. He said, because you're attached to the mode of goodness. And so what that meant was, you know, he had this idea that if I just live in the forest, if I do these techniques, then I will be able to see God anytime. And he was attached to that idea. So, you know, Krishna wanted him to see that it wasn't by his power, but it was by Krishna's reciprocation, loving reciprocation, that one comes to that highest perfectional stage. So the point is, somebody in the mode of goodness may become attached to this idea that I'm better than others. That's one sense Prabhupada mentions here, because I'm purified. And it may try to retain that status quo of just being happy with the illumination of the body and mind, not in the in transcendental loving service. Does that help?
Yes, thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, so the example of deity worship, being attached to cleanliness, I mean, you can become attached because you like the feeling of being clean and so forth. You're a neatnik. Or your mood, that's not necessarily transcendental. That can be from the mode of goodness, but transcendental would mean, I want this to be clean because Krishna lives here and Krishna is going to see this. You know, if you're walking across the temple hall and you see a rubber band on the floor and you walk past it because you think, that's for somebody else, then your mind's in the mode of ignorance, because you just, but if you're thinking, I don't want Krishna to see that when the curtain's open. He can notice that somebody left a rubber band on the ground. And so it picks it up because, like, I want to please Krishna. That's transcendental. It's not mode of goodness. A subtle distinction.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Hare Krishna, Divyanga Prabhu.
Haribol, Vaisesika, set my bases.
Please set my obeisance. All glories to Prabhupada. Everyone okay out there?
Everything's fine. Everything's just fine. What plague? I want to add this. You gave me this a long time ago. This is from verse 31 of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, verse 31. And Prabhupada says here in the purport, an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one's not resentful of the principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. You gave me that gem, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, and I lean on it heavily.
Yeah, that's such a nice point, Divyanga Prabhu. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you, Vaisi.
The sincerity of one's purpose in devotional service, Krishna brings up even in the Apichet Suduracharo, right? Because even if somebody is trending towards worldliness, if that person has this determination that I'm going to serve Krishna and goes on with that, person has to be called a sadhu, because Krishna says, Shri Prambhavati Dharma Shashvaschantim Nigachati. He'll be successful because it's coming from Krishna's empowerment from within the heart.
And Krishna is Bhava Grahi Janardhan, right?
Yeah.
So that's another one, that I like to take shelter of.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for these.
No, thank you, Div. It's good to see you.
Haribo, good to be seen.
Up late, sleepless in Alachua.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to go and say.
Yeah.
But tomorrow's a big day. It's Balaram Rasayatra, and it's the day I got initiated. So it's a huge day for me tomorrow, Vaisi.
Oh, congratulations, Divyanga Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I'll have to make a feast to make some Varuni beverage, and get it going on.
Was that in Cleveland, Ohio?
Yeah, it was actually, I got initiated in New Vrindavan.
New Vrindavan, but you were a resident of Cleveland, Ohio.
I was a resident of the Cleveland Temple, yeah.
Was Bhakti Gopal Prabhu the temple president?
Yes, and then Vaisesika Prabhu came and enlivened us on book distribution. Like, what are you doing in Cleveland? You're not doing that many books at the airport. Trip Rai Maharaj sent you there. And then after you were there for a few days, you called Trip Rai Maharaj and said, no, actually, 20 books a day in this airport, that is big.
I have a great.
Then we went to Chicago. So
I have a great story that all the devotees are gonna love.
Yeah, go ahead, Vijay Prabhu.
This is about Divyanga Prabhu. The
Oh,
way
yeah,
he joined,
I know it's a good story. Go ahead.
the way he joined, he was going to a concert, and the devotees were going to go to this concert and distribute books. And he saw the devotees in the van there, and he said, "Wait, you guys going to the concert?" Yeah, we're going. Can I join you? Yeah, all right. So he went in the van, and they started preaching to him. He bought some books, and they said, "Well, we're going to distribute some of these books here. You want to help us out?" And he liked the devotees. He said, "Yeah, all right." So he distributed books the whole day. And his friends came over and said, "Hey, what are you doing? We're going to go to the concert." "Nah, that's all right. I like this, So he kept distributing books the whole day. And then the end of the day, they said, "We're going to go to another concert later tonight. You want to come?" He said, "All right."
No.
That's how he joined.
Thank you, Vijay. Hare Krishna.
One of the most amazing stories of how someone joined our movie.
Malini, is there any updates from the weekend? I mean,
Yes.
how did it go with our virtual book distribution?
Prabhu, it was really, really good. First of all, many devotees actually participated in this assignment homework.
But
And
let me
then-
just preface it by saying that we got enlivened by Gopal Champu Prabhu's picture of that tractor full of books being sent out. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. And many devotees participated in this homework. And we got the results that we distributed 9 Srimad Bhagavatam ebooks, 8 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, paperback, I mean, not paperback, the actual hard copies. And we got sponsorships for 16 Bhagavad Gita cases. So
Whoa.
total, we got a Lakshmi of 3,861.
Haribol!
Haribol.
And now Alachua is going to do it. Alachua, they're going to get everyone in Alachua to call every person. There's over 1,000 there, and every person in Alachua is going to call people. So if everyone calls 3 people, they'll do 3,000 calls and thousands of books. Right, Div?
Absolutely.
I was in touch with Sri Vrindavan. She says she's into it. Thanks for.
I personally have packed up 2 boxes that are going out.
Okay. Do you see what
I
you
wanna know
did,
how
Gopal
sell- How
Champu?
they sell the 60 cases of Gitas there?
Is Mahotsav there also? Gopal Champu, you see what you all did?
Hare Krishna. This is
Hare
Mahotsav.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You started some revolution now. Was
Jai
your tractor picture was the shot heard around the world?
Jai.
You may be in one place
Thank
on a
you.
farm, and just by what you're doing, you're enlivening the whole world.
Thank you, Guru. Please bless us that we can keep
Oh,
doing
thank
it.
you. May you do 1,000-fold and
Thank you so
expand the
much.
internet book distribution. So when
Thank you, Guru.
when we're back out there too, it remains one of the biggest avenues for us to
Yeah.
distribute. Really great work.
Yeah. Thank you, Guru.
Thank you very much. Malini, do you have any questions for Gopal Champu or Mahotsava?
Oh, I just wanted to understand, how did you pick the callers? How are you calling them?
It's just like, people, any whoever, any, it's like just distributing books in the streets. You find anything that moves, you just approach them and go up to them and convince them. That's what we do somehow.
Anything that moves. It's the
Yeah.
ATM approach.
Yeah,
Anything
that's-
that moves.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got the technique now. Anything
I
that
wrote it
moves, you
down.
call them.
Anything that moves.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was such a great inspiration for all of
Yeah,
us.
thank you very much. Keep up the great work out
Yeah.
there in North Carolina. It's
Thank
making a
you,
big
Guru.
difference.
Thank you.
Prabhu, I have a
Hare
question.
Krishna.
Prabhu, I have a question. So does this assignment end today, or does this assignment continue, the homework?
Oh yeah, this is a daily assignment. We should all take a quota, and those who have the wherewithal to expand it, dig in, because this is why Krishna made the coronavirus come, in my humble opinion, is so we get an opportunity to look at the internet. Otherwise, we never would have looked. It was just, we're too busy going out here, there, and everywhere, and with carrying the books with us and stuff. And now he's given us a higher vision by turning our attention. We wouldn't have done it, right? I mean, we didn't have the time. So that's why this happened, to expand book distribution on the internet. So every day, every second counts now. We have to ramp this up so that when this little critter goes away, we're flying high on the internet, and we've built a substantial pipeline and all the techniques that we need. And then we're going to be able to get to the next level.
What is it that Gopal Champu did? What is it? I'm not
He
aware.
sent us a picture of a tractor full of boxed up books that the devotees there were doing. They were playing the old version of dialing for dollars, just calling people all over the place and asking them to take sets of books.
And
we actually got a box made just for the saptas.
Where'd you get the box?
For the separations.
We measured the saptarishi set and we sent it to Uline. They had like boxes on Uline. So we got those boxes.
You see, this is
Custom-made
useful
boxes.
information. This is very useful information because I was just on with the Motel Gita team yesterday, and they're considering, for their sending out to hospitals, motels, and everything. They wanted custom-made boxes, so now we know where to get them. They'll do it at
Uline, they do it really cheap, like 25 cents, 20 cents a box.
51.
how many books have you distributed this way, Gopal Champu?
We have to count, Prabhu. We haven't counted yet.
It's uncountable. It's like the stack is as tall as Mount Meru.
Give us a broad idea. Is there any broad idea of how many books?
We've done close to 1,000 books.
These guys are unstoppable.
1,000 books. Yeah, and they're just getting warmed up. So yes, Malini, this is open season now for the internet. Let's take it as a mandate to expand. And big numbers, at least first thing is to find where the gaps are and filling those gaps, and also refining our method of approach, just as we have in every other kind of book distribution. Fail forward fast, find the method, pray to Krishna. He'll give us the ways and means if we are sincerely desirous of ramping it up. What do you think, Kautu Karnika, of this idea?
Yeah, it looks great. Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, good. Mukharavinda?
Excellent, Maharaj.
Good?
Excellent.
Better than good. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Lord Chaitanya has given us a new direction. This is how book distribution started in the first place. Someone would go out and try something and it works. When I was in San Francisco, I joined in 1973. It was the beginning of the big expansion of book distribution. And we had, our biggest book distributor was Sarvabhauma Prabhu. And one day he went out and sold 6 big books. And then we had an Ishtagosti with the whole temple to say how he did it. And then we heard news from Los Angeles that there was a couple of devotees down there. One was Janaka Rishi and the other one was Tripurari Das, who was a grihasta at the time. Now he's a sannyasi. And that they were selling sometimes 40 big books in a day. And so then we said, that's impossible. It couldn't be. It couldn't be happening. And then we verified that it was happening. And that was shot heard around the world. I went to the book room and I stacked up 40 big books. And I put my seat down there when every morning I chant japa to those 40 books. And I would pray to the holy name, please show me how to do this. And that's how book distribution expanded. Devotees everywhere just wanted to do it. And then they tried, and they just tried everything they could, and they kept praying, and Lord Chaitanya made the breakthroughs. So when you see somebody doing it and it's possible, it all comes from that utsahan, that enthusiasm to get it done. Then go for it, and you'll be the one that gets counted, that Lord Chaitanya gave you the intelligence how to make it work. And that's a good way to go back to Godhead. Good reputation to leave behind. Hare Krishna, Gaur Prem. We attracted some real sadhus on the call today. We had Vijay, we had Divyanga, we had Mahotsav, we had Gopal Champu, and all of you. Thank you very much. And we'll see you very, very soon. Hare Krishna. We'll just have a really short kirtan at the end. I know we're over time. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Everybody, Krishna Prasthaya Upale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Gaurava Krishna
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Gadadhar
Sadi
Sadi
Gaur
Gaur
Bhaktivinoda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Gadadhar
Shivasati
Sadi
Gaur
Gaur
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare Rama
Hare
Hare Rama Rama
Rama
Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama. That's my hand. Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama
Hare Hare. Excellent. Haribol. Hare Haribol. Keep us in the paper chapter.
Avantika, who are the cooks?
No.
Hey Krishna.
Vaisesika Ki
Jai. Avantika, who are the cooks for tonight?
Tonight's Prashadam was cooked by Ananda Mataji, Shama Karnam Mataji, Shama Bhakta Prabhu, Hema Mataji, Mukta Mataji, Siddhakata Prabhu, Savarna Gopika Mataji, Akanta Mataji, Hansapriya Mataji, Radhavala Prabhu, Hari Suhritan Prabhu, and Radhika Prema Mataji.
Uncommon. That's all.
Krishna
Radha Krishna Shri Chaitanya
Shri Chaitanya
Namo Brahma Vaishnava
Swaso Navajayate
Sarvaduka
Shavayate Buddhi Paryavatistate Sabhutta Sakhanda Vaso Lankara Charpita
Uchi Dasa Ramayam Jayemahi 11:6
Jai
11
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari 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 Bol.
Hari Bol.
Who has sweet rice?
I
Any sweet
want
rice?
What's your sweet rice?
Who has pakora?
Puri.
I got quiche.
Rice with ghee. Rice with ghee.
Yes, we got it. We got it right.
With little sambar. Who has it?
Halwa.
We have.
Gulab jamun.
What kind of halwa?
Pineapple halwa.
Cheesecake.
Suji halwa by Natwar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
A cheesecake.
Hari Bol.
Gaur Premanande.
Premanande. Okay, see everybody soon.
Hare Krishna.
Big. New huge. Internet huge. Internet huge.
Hare Krishna.
Internet huge.
Hare Krishna.
TM, anything that moves. Everybody gets a set of books. Bigger than before. Okay?
Okay.
It's the new scam.
Shri Gopal, what do you think?
Excellent, Maharaj.
It's good?
Yes, excellent.
If Shri Gopal says excellent, it's going to happen. Go pray.
Hari Bol. Hari 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 Bol.
Go pray, Manande.
Hari 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 Bol.
Hari Bol.
Ravali, Keval Bhakti, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna ki